But, I think there's just that welcoming feeling. I think that's the biggest thing. No matter who you are, where you're from, everyone's just welcomed with open arms.
Lauren Burke, welcome to Throwing Stones. How are you?
Good, thank you, Jeremy. How are you?
I'm good, thanks. I'm good. I'm delighted to be able to talk to you today. Really looking forward to it. Thank you so much for accepting my last minute time change for this.
That's okay. No problem at all. Thank you for asking.
I might just preface this and apologise if you could hear my 6-month-old son crying in the background. His mother is there. He's not alone. He's teething at the moment. So if the noise of him crying permeates into the episode, apologies for that. But let's get started. I was just thinking there before I hit record. 2012, I think, is when the ladies team started. I don't know if you know exactly. Like I have here, let's say the 25 years celebration for the club, 75 years, and the ladies team isn't mentioned in it in 2012. So it shows just how far you've come. But this episode's about you, so
that's okay. I think actually you're right, because I think next season is going to be the 10-year kind of celebration.
No, it's great. So nice timing to be able to do it like this.
Absolutely.
Something I'm really interested in is transferable skills in sport. So you look at like Gaelic, for example, where you have the overhead catch lends itself really well to catching high ball in rugby. Your story isn't necessarily from a sporting background. You did dancing for 10 years. So I'm just really curious, did that help in any way in terms of like balance, coordination, core skills, timing? Did any of those things lend themselves to rugby when you first started?
Yeah, I think so. Like, I suppose at the time I didn't really think about it because, like, as you said, I didn't have a sporting background as such, did hockey for a little while. But I suppose it did because, like, there's so many different skills involved in rugby, as you said, balance, core skills, all that kind of stuff. Looking back, I'd say it definitely helped because I was not big into exercise, things like that. But obviously I developed some sort of core stability and balance and all those kind of things over the 10 years I did dancing. I also had a brief little kind of go at cheerleading, so I think that definitely helped with jumping. Just a couple of weeks in transition, as you do, you try everything out. But I think in terms of dancing, like for hooking and all those kind of skills, and even rucking, the positions, flat back, all those kind of things, I definitely would say that doing the dancing helped with all that.
Yeah, great stuff. Your story with Greystones Rugby Club starts in March 2015. I know you moved up from Arklow in with Barry up there in Eden Gate, and you first came down to the rugby club on your own as such was for Ladies' Day 2015. So what was it about that that led you to ultimately going down to give training a go?
Honestly, that day I said to the girls, absolutely no way I'm ever going to play rugby. Like, don't be so ridiculous. It's so dangerous. What are you doing? Like, you're all mad. But at the same time, I suppose I admired them, like, for their commitment to the team and the club and being so brave to go out on a rugby pitch, because it was something I never, ever thought I would play. So yeah, went to Ladies' Day, didn't know what I was doing, met all the girls. And like from that minute, they were so welcoming. Like, I couldn't have been welcomed anymore into the group. It was like a group of friends I'd already had for years, So yeah, by the end of the night they were like, come on, coming down pre-season, come on, you're definitely coming. And I was going, yeah, no, not gonna happen. Like, not a hope it's gonna happen. And then I suppose it just came to the summer, and Tara got in touch with Barry and was like, well, is Lauren gonna come down? And I hummed and hawed for a few weeks, and I kind of went, sure, look, I'll go for the fitness. What harm is it going to do? Get back into a little bit of exercise, something again I hadn't done in years. And just one thing led to another, and all of a sudden I was on the team.
So who would have been involved in summer 2015 when you first went down to pre-season then?
As I call them, the OGs. They were all the girls who were there kind of from the start. And the team had kind of developed into a really good, solid core group. So you had like Tara, and the two Tinas, Tina Riley, Tina Donahue, Janet, Rachel, really good group of girls who knew exactly what they were doing. And then coaching side, you had Shane, head coach, and Paul was helping out. So Shane was, the kind of, at the time, good cop, bad cop. You had Shane and Paul. Shane was the one who was, so like, driven to like push the team, and then Paul was there easing us newbies in. So yeah, they were kind of the core group. I didn't know anybody except Janet at the time, because I'd been in college with Janet a couple of years before that. So yeah, it was just a group of strangers, but as I said, like, they were all so committed to the team. It was wonderful.
So what was it that led from going just to training to get fitness to decide, look, I'll actually go full in on this and play matches?
To be honest, I didn't really know what I was doing. I just kept going back for, as I said, the fitness. And I suppose on my first night, like, I had so much fun. I remember at the end of the night, Tara said, just hold on to the boots, you might want them. And I was like, no, I don't want them. I don't need them. Like, and then I suppose because I was moving up, I just wanted to make a group of friends, because, it was all well and good going down to the rugby club all the time and, watching the matches and stuff, but I was always on my own. So I kind of thought, I know these girls, even if I'm not playing alongside them, it's a group of people I know to go down to the club with, to watch the matches and stuff. But back to that first training session, I always remember coming off laughing my head off. It was like after being on an episode of Gladiators, like the show on TV. Like, it went from, do you know anything about rugby, to running down a channel of girls with pads, bumping into them. And all I could think of was that show. I was like, this is hilarious. This is so much fun. Not what I expected at all. So yeah, as I said, I didn't really know what I was doing. And all of a sudden it was like training led to tackling, and full contact started. And it's just easing myself in, saying, sure, I'll give it a go, see what it's like. And then it came to like, right, okay, Lauren, you're on the pitch. And I was going, sorry, what? And on the pitch.
Yeah, tell me about that. Your first match is against Garda, and it's up on the top pitch. Talk me through the experience you had.
Yeah, so it was against Garda up top pitch, as you said. I think, from what I remember, I think Garda conceded at half time because they didn't have numbers or something. There was too many injuries kind of going on. And we said, should we play the second half as a friendly? We'd loads of new girls there. Paul and Shane thought this was a great opportunity, get the newbies on. So yeah, on I went, got my first tackle, was delighted, absolutely took the wind out of me, though, like, didn't know what end of it was up after it. But I got up, kept going, got my first carry, and all of a sudden I got held up again, didn't know what was happening. I just remember looking around going, somebody help me, like, what am I supposed to do here? Like, these two girls holding me. But yeah, it was a great experience, and I remember after, my mom said to me, like, I thought you said you were playing tag rugby, like, what's this about? And I was like, no, it's full contact, but I don't know if I'm ever going to play again. As much as I loved it, there was still a bit of doubt in my mind, as to whether I would play again. But yeah, I just remember as well, then at the end, the panic set in, because I wear contacts, obviously, playing rugby, and I couldn't see anything. My contacts had just disappeared in my eyes, and I was going, what is this? Where am I? What am I doing? So yeah, it was quite funny. But yeah, I still went back, even though I wasn't sure at the time if I would or not.
Yeah, tell me about going back, because, like, was there a moment where it clicked for you, or was it a kind of a gradual process where you started to realize, hey, I'm kind of getting the hang of this now?
I definitely think it was a gradual process. At the time when I joined, as I said, like, it was a good core team there. The positions were solidified. Everyone knew the position. The new girls, as always is tradition with women's team, I don't know if it's the same for the men, but the women are always eased in by being put on the wing. So you might get 2 or 3 minutes at the end of the match, you might get 5, you might get 10. Gradually, you're kind of pushed into different positions. So for me, I spent most of the first season on the bench. And you know what? I didn't mind, because I was getting a little taster of it all the time. So I think it really took until I kind of became a key part of the group to really kind of go, yeah, I actually really, really love this. I had no problem going to matches. It was great fun, the atmosphere, support, and everything like that. But I think it was kind of the end of the first season, start of the second season, when I started getting more and more time. Like, I might get half a match. I was being put in at centre, and then I was pushed then into the forwards, thanks to Hoppo. And I think then my definite moment when I really kind of said I absolutely love this sport was when I was put in as hooker. I think that was my second or third season in. But yeah, that was definitely when I kind of went, yeah, this is for me.
That's a big it's a big jump to go into the front row, I think, being relatively new to rugby. I mean, did you find that challenging at all? I mean, I know you said you were eased in from bench to wing to centre, etc. But how did you find playing the front row, and what was Hoppo's role in that?
Well, it all started at the side of the pitch just before we were about to start the game. Like I was warmed up as back and everything like that. And Shane and Honourable called me over and they were like, yeah, so I think we're going to put you in a flanker today. And I was like, what flanker? Hadn't a clue. I just remember going into the change room going, Rachel, is flanker what you played? Because that's what I have to play today. I don't know what this is. I hadn't a breeze. And she was like, oh yeah, sure. Like just follow me around the pitch. It'll be fine. So yes, I started off playing flanker for a couple of matches. Again, just kind of didn't really know what I was doing, but just followed the forwards around. You know, as you said, it's so different from going from back into forward. Like it's such a different position. And then I went and played second row for one match, and I was like, no, this isn't for me. Like my back was killing me after. I was like, I can't do it. So then, yeah, just one night of training, they were like, sure, look, we'll try you in here, see how you get on. I think a couple of the girls who had been playing hooker over the few seasons started like they kind of started thinking, oh, we're maybe not going to play anymore. One of them got injured, and I think they were kind of easing themselves out. So I think it was the opportunity to try and trade someone new in there, see what it was like. It was definitely daunting. First time you scroll up against a bigger team, you know, like we're not the biggest team. Very daunting. But you know, there is something kind of, I suppose, rewarding about it. Like playing as hooker, like it's all on you in the scrum, you know, like you have to get the ball and that's it. So I think it was that kind of, for me, I suppose, they kind of going, yeah, I can do this, you know, I can succeed at this position. And I suppose it was such a specialized position that there aren't many people on the bench or on the team who can go in there. So I think that was for me, even though as daunting as it was, it's still really rewarding. So I think that was the best part of it.
Yeah, there's something about pressure, isn't there, that can bring out the best in you.
Definitely, yeah.
Something I want to talk about is the culture around the women's team. I think if you could bottle that and sell it, you'd be a millionaire. But I mean, what do you think the components are that make it so special and so unique?
To be honest, I agree with you. I think there's something about the women's team that they're the most welcoming group of women I've ever met in my life. Like I've been, you know, in different groups, whether it's work or like in dancing and stuff like that over the years. But there's something about the women's team in Greystones. I always say this. I say it to other teams. I say it to the coaches. I say it to all the girls. Sometimes we're just too nice. Like for a rugby team, like we're just, you know, you tackle them. Oh, sorry. You know, we just have this kind of thing about us. We always apologize. But, you know, I think there's just that welcoming feeling. I think that's the biggest thing. No matter who you are, where you're from, everyone's just welcomed with open arms. Like everyone's so generous, so kind. And even off the pitch, we're great for getting together, whether it's even 2 or 3 of us going for a coffee or breakfast or whatever, or a big group going out for a day doing stuff. I think it is just that everyone's just so happy to be there. Everyone's so happy to be part of that core group, and the kindness and generosity of everyone is unbelievable. And I definitely think there's a massive feeling of support in the team. Like, as I said, it doesn't matter where you're from. Like we've had girls come in through the years from all over the world. Yeah. They're so far from home, but the team feels like family to them, you know, and I think that is a massive part of it. Probably a reason a lot of the girls stuck around for so long, and some of them are still there, you know.
It actually is. You're right. I think that some of the girls there, like I would know Anna quite well. Like it's actually a major reason for enjoying living in Ireland so much is the ladies team. We heard it when talking to Alex in last season's podcast as well. Such a good endorsement for the ladies team. You touched on it there, just talking about all the off the pitch work that goes into making the team what it is. Did you have any roles that you took on, any responsibilities?
Yeah, I suppose over the years I did help out quite a bit. Rachel and Tara were the ones kind of led it at the start, I suppose, with running Ladies' Day and stuff like that. And I suppose I just started kind of helping out along the way, whether it was with tour or just organising kind of nights out, just team bonding things. Like, you know, we've often gone and done like bowling and different things like that just to get the team together. That's kind of the most I would have done. I definitely organised one tour, but it's actually sports day, as we called it. We did it in the club because we couldn't go away at the time. And then at the moment I'm still doing, I don't know if I'm going to continue doing it now, I'll have to see, the Instagram and things like that, all social media kind of aspect.
Oh yeah, very good, very good. So you'll be able to promote your episode on the show
yeah, definitely. Very well. I'll hide it from everybody so no one else has to watch
it. Something I know you were keen to talk about was your dad and his role. I think he's the unofficial club photographer. Tell me a little bit about that.
Yeah, so being just myself and my sister, I've only 2 girls at home. You know, we weren't big sporty kids growing up. So I suppose my dad's an absolute massive soccer fan, always has been. So, you know, he's hoping for Liverpool now the next few weeks. But I suppose he never had that kind of place to like go and stand inside the pitch on a Sunday watching their kids play, sports and stuff like that. So he absolutely loves coming up. Even now when I'm not playing, he still comes up. I think the biggest thing for him, like he loves photography, he loves taking photos, he really enjoys it. Like he might take 1,000 in one match though. Yeah, he takes so many. But I think for him, like just being able to be part of that kind of team and stuff as well. And I think the best thing is when we play against Arklow, because he's an Arklow man through and through. And that kind of rivalry on the side, and they're like, what are you doing the Greystones top? What are you supporting them for? Like it's a bit of fun. So yeah, like he's been a great help to the girls, and I know that even now they're always saying thank you so much for the photos, because you learn so much from looking at the photos. Videos and stuff are great as well, but I think there's something about that kind of frozen scene. You can see whether it's height or different things like that, you see so much from the photos, and I think that it has really helped all of the girls over the years.
Absolutely. It's a really good point, actually, and not something that I thought about before. Also, we'll know why your opening sting on the podcast is better than all the rest, because we'll have your dad's professional photos to use.
Absolutely. He even got one in the Leinster program one time when he took
really?
Yeah, I was asked to do a piece, and one of the line out ones he took was in it. Yeah, so it's delighted. Yeah.
Very good. Speaking of Leinster, you won the Leinster Plate. Love to talk to you about it. You'd play Wanderers in the final in Donnybrook, Saturday, 27th of April, 2019. What are your memories of the game? Tell me about it.
Yeah, do you know what? It was just one of those days that I'll never forget. Like it was such an emotional day. Like we had played the semi-final against Clontarf. That was such a nail biter of a match. Like we were neck and neck the whole way through, and we ended up playing a scrum the last kind of like literally last 30 seconds of the game. But the ref actually made the wrong call, which he admitted afterwards. Actually to my cousin who was helping out Clontarf at the time, and I was like, no, please don't tell her that. But yeah, so we literally got into the final with the skin of our teeth. And yeah, that day in Donnybrook, then it was just it felt like we were professionals. We got the bus up, which the women's team never really get the bus, and all went in together. And yeah, I suppose as well, because the ref was being recorded that day herself for like just a little promo thing they were doing for Leinster. So it felt even more like, we were VIPs playing on the back bit of Donnybrook. But a highlight for me actually that day, not even the match itself, but I think halfway through the match we kind of knew we'd won it. We were quite a bit ahead. But a massive part of it for me personally was I got to play against one of my childhood friends who plays for Wanderers. So we went to play school together, primary school together. So it was just something extra special for me that day. And it was the first time like loads of my family came to see. The crowd was unbelievable, right to the bitter end, even though, as I said, I kind of knew halfway through the match we were going to win it. Obviously, that can always change. But right to the very end, it was just this amazing support. And, right at the very end, then the second, like that final whistle went, it was something we'd never experienced before. Well, for me anyway, some of the girls have won different things before that. But I think just it kind of made you feel you were at that next level. You were kind of nearly, as I said, professionals as such. Everyone was there for you. You were getting a medal. It was this big, massive hype. And then it was also a bittersweet day, though, because we were saying goodbye to Christine and Ian because they were heading back to Canada. And we had like a bit of a celebration then back in the club for them, going off. But that achievement that season, that was a season we worked so hard. Like the team stuck together through thick and thin, and we got so far, and just to be able to lift that plate at the end was just unbelievable.
Fantastic, that's lovely. Hey, tell me a little bit about Christine and Ian. They had a big impact in a relatively short period of time, didn't they?
They did, yeah. To be honest, when they first came down, I actually thought that they had lived there before. I thought I just never met them, So yeah, Ian actually just said to us one night in the bar, he was there himself, and he said that Christine was interested in playing, and we were like, tell her to come down, it'd be great. But yeah, I think her amount of experience from playing had just came onto the pitch, and she was amazing.
Had she played in Canada?
She played in Canada for a few years, yeah. So she had a good bit of experience behind her. But I think because we had so many people in different positions, but we'd all kind of played in the same club over the same, length of time with the same coaches. Somebody new coming in who had experience was amazing. Her talk was great. She pushed us really hard. Her enthusiasm was just phenomenal. And then, like you said, like Ian was always there, and there was Sophia around. It was just that like family kind of impact. It was lovely. Yeah, really, really nice to have them there, but we miss them so much.
Yeah, absolutely. Yeah, there's so many different elements that go into a winning team, isn't there? There's like, you need experience, you need old heads, you need fresh ideas, you need old ideas, you need young people. Like it's I think that team is probably very well blended. That got to the final and won it.
Yeah, absolutely.
I'll talk to you a little more somber topic is of injuries. I think the pandemic allowed a lot of people to take a step back and kind of reflect on where they are at with their rugby. Some people, it was a positive reflection. They couldn't wait to get back. But others, like yourself, like I know Alan Dempsey and the men's team, said, you know what, if I want to walk in 20 years time, probably not wise to keep doing this. I feel great with the 2 years off or whatever the length of time it was. I'm going to ask you about your actual retirement, but before I do, tell me about your injury profile. I don't think life in the front row is something that can be sustained long term. It cannot.
No, definitely not. I suppose over the years I actually was very lucky that I didn't get too many kind of injuries that put me out for a long time. I always used to say, like, why can't I just get like one decent injury, be like done in 6 weeks and I'll be back on? It was always like soft tissue damage, ligaments. You go for an x-ray feeling like your hand was falling off and it was fine. Like so through the years I didn't really have anything too bad, except my shoulders were always just really bad. Like I was in and out of cam every couple of weeks for a long time with my traps, just I don't know, just obviously where I carry all my tension. I think it all started with one tackle I remember I made, and the girl kind of just landed over my shoulder really awkwardly. I just remember going into cam after that going like, I don't know what's going on here. But yeah, definitely life in the front row is not fun when it comes to your shoulders and your stress, and yeah, it was pretty tough at that end of it. So yeah, I suppose that's where it led to the bad injury. I call it a bad injury. There was nothing actually in it, thankfully, but that's what led to push me to have to retire.
Tell me about the bad injury.
So basically, it was actually the week before kind of lockdown kind of set in or whatever. Something really silly. I caught my pinky finger in someone's bib in training. That's how it all started, and I got like tingling sensation or whatever with my arm, and it kind of wasn't going away. So I thought, pinched nerve or something, but got investigated. There was nothing in it, kind of got on with things, but just after kind of a week or two after that, it kind of just got worse and worse. I remember standing on the side of the pitch in Clontarf. It was the first match I hadn't played in ages, and I was just talking to some of the girls, some would have physio background and stuff like that, and they were like, might be no harm just to go get it investigated a bit further, just in case, because it had been ongoing. And at this point I was getting pains on my back and stuff as well, so so I went and got loads of investigations, MRIs, bloods, everything, and thankfully there was nothing there that actually came out of it. But it was about maybe 6 or 8 weeks into lockdown, I kind of noticed a really bad pain in my right shoulder blade, and it just wasn't going away no matter what I did. Like I was texting physio friends, trying to get advice anywhere I could, because obviously nowhere was open to get any therapy or whatever. So I was doing all the exercises and everything, and just this pain just wasn't going away no matter what I did. So I think that's when I kind of thought, this is happening when I'm not playing now, and I've only stopped for a few weeks. What's going to happen in the future? So as I said, fortunately there was nothing there. I was okay. There was nothing kind of long-term damage, but every time I went back then to physio when they all reopened or whatever, the pain gradually went away. There was just no easing of that tension in my shoulders, and my traps were just too bad. But I suppose Cam probably said, if you let me, I think with the needles it would go away, but I was like, nope, not coming near me with those. That was one big no. But no matter what I did, it just didn't kind of feel right. And then I started getting tension headaches and stuff. And I just said, you know what, I just can't keep going here, Yeah,
it's so tiring, isn't it? Just constantly chasing an injury, emotionally drains you. But yeah, you did ultimately decide, look, it's probably better if I don't play anymore. But like, I'm sure it was still a hard decision, because a big part of your identity becomes, I'm a rugby player. And everything you do for during the week, how you sleep, what you eat, what you don't eat or drink, or you're stretching or work in a gym or anything, every aspect of your day is geared towards playing a rugby match in the weekend. And then all of a sudden that goes. Was it hard? Did you feel a bit of sadness?
Oh, absolutely. Absolutely. I remember going down training. It was like pre-season kind of going down or whatever. Actually, it wasn't even pre-season, sorry. It was like the end of the season. We did like a little kind of fitness for a few weeks or whatever, just to kind of get everyone back in before the break, before we actually got back in properly. And I was going down, I said nothing to anybody. I was like, I'm just gonna go down and see how I feel, kind of did the odd little bit of contact, whatever. I was coming home and I was like, oh, the pain's just still there in my head. Like I was just getting just constant headaches all the time from the stress, the tension. So played the conversation over my head about 100 times, like driving up and down the road to Arklow to work, like just going, right, how am I going to tell the coaches? I'm gonna have to call it a day. It's just too much. So went down then to tell Paul and Rory, and they were like, I said, oh, I just want to let you know, like I've come to the decision, I'm not going to play anymore. And two of them were like, you're not going to play anymore at all? And I was like, no, they're like, not even in the backs. I said, no, I can't. Like, I can't tackle without getting a headache. Like, it's not like, sustainable or whatever. And so I think they kind of hoped that I would kind of just maybe come away from the front row, because that's kind of what I thought initially. If I just take the pressure away from the scrums, that kind of thing would help. But and then of course all the girls were like, no, please, you can't go. And I was like, I'm sorry. But the typical women's injury suspicion is always pregnancy. And I was like, I'm absolutely not pregnant. Just FYI, they were all going, waiting for news. And I was going, no, I'm just not going to play anymore. But that's always what happens when on the women's team, you're, oh, I'm injured. They're like, oh, yeah, injured, is it? Yeah.
That's so funny.
Yeah, but like, it just came to that decision where I just had to say, like, look, I absolutely love rugby. Like, it broke my heart to stop, even though when I first started, I was like, I'm never going to play. But that's why I just decided, like, I just have to call it a day before it gets to the stage where I am suffering long term, and thankfully now I'm okay. But I'd say if I tackle tomorrow, I'd be in trouble, I'd be very in a lot of pain again.
Yeah. Well, that's why I stop, so that during your day-to-day life, you can be pain-free,
Exactly.
But I want to talk a little bit about life after playing. You're still involved, I understand. Tell me about your role at the moment.
Yeah, so I think Rory's hoping that someday I'm going to take over from him. He keeps threatening he's going back to his Wednesday tennis, but I can assure you that's not going to happen. Well, he can go back to his tennis if he wants, but it won't be because I'm taking over. So I suppose, like, as I said, like, the group is just, the girls are just brilliant. Like, I think I'd miss them too much not going down. Like, there was even a few weeks there, back a few weeks ago when I was sick and stuff and I wasn't going down. And I just really miss them, and I was messaging them constantly, and the WhatsApp's always flying, as they all are. So I just said, like, I'm happy to still be involved, still be around, help out or whatever, but I have no plans in taking over. Even though I think a few of them are hoping I will. But I think, like, a big thing for the girls, and I know over the years, you do get fed up with listening to the same coaches, and I know that, like, as a teacher, I know by the end of the year, the kids get fed up listening to me as well. It does happen. So I think from my point of view, I thought, like, maybe the girls would listen to somebody who knows what's like out on that. I've played alongside 90% of them. I've been in that position where, you're going mad at the ref, or calls aren't going your way, or maybe you're giving away penalty after penalty, or maybe you're, massive amount of points down. And I think for me, I was like, maybe listening to me rather than listening to the coaches all the time will help that, because I do know what's going on. You always, yourself playing, you stand on the pitch, coaches are saying something, you're like, but you don't know how hard it is out here. I'm blowing here for the last half an hour and not getting anywhere. So I think for me, that was a kind of a big aspect of it, that, like, it was nearly player to player rather than coach to player. But I suppose, as I said, like, just being around the girls, they're just such a wonderful group. And I love the social aspect of it as well as the playing aspect, and they're still my friends. At the end of the day, I'm still going to want to see them. So the best place to see them is to go down to training. Even though I don't necessarily train too much, even though I'm like, I'm going to training, might step back a little bit, but it's still the fitness and stuff like that. Still join in as much as I can. There's no contact and stuff. But I have been thrown in the deep end a couple of times, being like, oh, here, I do this drill, and then I try to explain it, and I'm like, yeah, I think this is what we're doing.
You talked a little bit about coaching there, and you were telling me when we were speaking in preparation for the interview about a ladies only coaching pathway. You able to shed any more light on that? It's a fantastic concept.
I actually don't have too much information on it. Paul passed it on to me a while ago, and I did see it advertised somewhere else as well. So I think what they're trying to do is get just women only coaching courses rather than like a mixed coaching course. So I think it is just to encourage more women to get involved. And I suppose, like, obviously women's rugby is growing a lot at the moment. So I think it is just a way, an incentive to get more women down coaching. Unfortunately, I don't know too much about it, because I kind of said for now I'd pass on it, but maybe in the future I'd look into it. But I think with Leinster we're running it for women only.
Yeah, great idea. You told me something else I found quite interesting. You said that coaching and teaching are actually very different. I would have thought that they'd be more similar. In what regards are they different, do you think?
There's so many, I suppose, different aspects of like your teaching, you know, exactly what you're going to do every day. Like, you know, you go in and I have all my plans ready and get on with it or whatever. And there's a set curriculum. With coaching, I suppose, so many different, I suppose it is the same with teaching, I suppose, different abilities, but like so many different skill levels. You're dealing with people who are maybe your own age or not too much younger. You know, like, you know, myself, I'm not a sixth class teacher. I'm always going to stick with the lower end of the school. So I think that kind of peer thing is very different for me anyway. I find it totally different. Like I know, and I'm known for chatting and being a bit of a chatterbox, but trying to get the girls to stop talking sometimes at training, you're like, please stop. Whereas in school, the kids listen to you and they're like, oh yeah, sorry, you know, they want to please you. Whereas when it's your friends, they're like, yeah, whatever, you know, kind of thing. So I think that aspect of it is quite different. I think it's not that it's intimidating, but it is. I know myself, I can't stand up in front of a room full of adults and speak the way I would to my kids. Like, you know, even if I have 2 or 3 different adults in the room in school, I kind of freeze a little bit sometimes. It just has that different feeling about it. I can't quite put my finger on exactly what it is, but there's definitely something in it.
It's just what you're used to, I guess. Yeah,
absolutely.
I'd love to talk about the season just gone, and your thoughts on it, reflecting on how it went.
Yeah, I think it was definitely a bit of a tough season for the girls. There was a lot of change. And I think, as you mentioned earlier, like post-COVID, a few people kind of stepped back and maybe either weren't as committed or maybe just with the break just kind of said, oh, you know what, maybe it is time to walk away. There's a lot of change in positions this season as well, I noticed. You know, you could be training as a back in training on Wednesday and then come to match on Sunday and you're playing the forwards. It was just quite a lot of mixing around and stuff, but it wasn't to be helped. It's just a situation we had in front of us, you know, the group of girls that were there. I think, though, the biggest achievement this season was the fact that we were able to field a team for every single match. We didn't have to concede any match just because of that. You know, there was one match I think we had to concede just because of timings. Just it was coming to the end of the season, we couldn't reschedule it. And weather had impacted a couple of our matches over the weeks. But I think it has showed the team, though, who is there for the long run, who's going to stand by and be there next season. And I think the next season is looking really promising. I think the fact that we've come through a whole season, kept, you know, there was maybe 12, 13 available, some matches we were still able to play a match, kept that solid group going. And then as the season actually came to a close, we started getting more and more girls coming in, you know, later in the season. So I think it is going to help keep that group going to then go forward for next season. The biggest achievement, I think, and I know I spoke to the girls and the coaches about this, the biggest achievement this season was that we didn't end up in a relegation position, even though we didn't maybe win that many matches, but we held our own, we fielded a team, we got through it, and we're still standing.
Absolutely. Yeah, it's important to have those transition seasons, isn't it? I mean, like, yeah, you're not going to win the league, but if you can kind of steady the ship and plan for next year or even 5 years time and rebuild, they really are quite valuable in that regard. Now you wanted to mention Sandra as well.
Yeah, I'm actually heartbroken Sandra's leaving us. She's just had such an impact, I think, on the club over the last few years. I think, you know, she's done a phenomenal job keeping everyone updated on the matches, and she's just always around, no matter what. Like, you know, and I remember there was one weekend she messaged me, she's like, I can't be at the match, can you do the social media? And I was, of course I can. But I think we kind of, I suppose at the time, you know, you don't appreciate something until it's gone, really. But I just want to say a massive thank you to her on behalf of everybody, but particularly the women's team. You know, she's given us a lot of coverage. The fact that she's given me the access to be on the club pages as well, I think, gave the women's team and the girls all so much more promotion. But no one's going to beat her acting shot, so I don't know who's going to take over from her, but someone's big shoes to fill.
Anyway, they really do. Yeah, absolutely. They have very big shoes to fill. She's fantastic. I mean, I work with her on this as well, and it literally wouldn't be what it is without her. Yeah, so thank you, Sandra. Love to talk to you about underage rugby for the girls down in the club. Like, it's funny, if you go back 10 seasons, there was no underage rugby for girls. And I know that Alan McCann had a big impact in kind of invigorating that part of the club. And now 120 girls playing rugby across all age grades. It's a huge success story, but I think maybe the biggest success story in the entire club this year is seeing Amy O'Mahony and Eva Sterrett lining out for the Irish under-18s. It must have been quite proud of them to be able to see something like that, considering
Oh,
you've been here from some of the earlier seasons.
absolutely. Do you know, like when we got the news about the girls, I was just blown away. Like I can't believe that, as you said, like in all these few years that there has been women's rugby and girls rugby in the club, that we've actually got to this level. You know, and we were lucky enough to have the girls down at training a couple of times, and we kind of link up with the under 18s, under 16s the odd time, just to help them out, but also to help us out. And you know, you can see the talent, you know, that's coming through, and it's unbelievable to see. And you know, I suppose from my point of view, like I never grew up around rugby, didn't really know much about it, but in, you know, whatever 10 years in, Greystones has come on so far, but even just in my lifetime, seeing how much women's sport has been promoted. But it's an amazing achievement for the girls, and I'm absolutely thrilled for them. And I hope they stick around and maybe want them down to the women's team the odd time as well, you know.
Absolutely, absolutely. We're nearly at the end of the road here, Lauren. I'd like to first ask you your favourite Greystones Rugby Club memory.
I think it has to be winning the plate. It's just, you know, it was one of those days, as I said earlier, like it's something I'm never going to forget. And to be able to look back and say I won an Leinster medal for rugby is just, it's unbelievable. Yeah, I think it has to be. And as I said, like that team that year, you know, we were a really good, strong team. Everyone was there right through thick and thin. We got through it, and we got the success at the end.
Yeah, absolutely. You have it forever. Like it can never be taken away from you. Yeah, it's fantastic. I know you're not going to give me a single best player you played with, but who are the honourable mentions?
Oh yeah, this question is the one that
you're too nice. It's just like you were saying.
I know, exactly. Yeah. I just have to say sorry to any girls I don't mention. I suppose for me, in terms of being on the pitch with them, playing alongside Janet, somebody who's played rugby her whole life, you know, she was phenomenal. She was fearless, and you know, you could blink and she'd be gone. You know, the speed was unbelievable. Rosie, another girl who came through from kind of the youths, but unfortunately she didn't stick around for too long with us. But even the few times she did play with us, it was great to see ability, that standard. Sophie is one that always sticks out in my mind, because I always remember my first season. You know, Sophie's kind of that one you can always rely on. If you miss a tackle, if you're not at the ruck on time, Sophie will be the one to get there and to help you and back you up, you know. And then Anna's the other one, I suppose, that really sticks out to me. Like Anna is just absolutely ruthless on the pitch. She has progressed so much in the last few years. It's unbelievable. And I really hope she doesn't leave us anytime soon, because, you know, Ireland's way nicer than Spain. But yeah, I think those girls definitely, there's probably loads more I could mention, but those are the ones that stick out in my mind in particular.
Fantastic. Like that's the end of the road for us today, Lauren. It's been fantastic talking to you. You know, like when I'm researching these episodes, sometimes you get to take a step back and look at the bigger picture of the rugby club. And I really think that in 100 years, if there is someone like me doing a podcast on the history of the rugby club, they're gonna say that's probably the biggest success story in the history of the club. Is, like I said at the start, 2012, no ladies team. Now we have a seniors ladies team that's taking home trophies to the club. We have 120 girls playing underage rugby across all levels. We have Irish internationals. We've loads of Leinster players. And it's been really great to talk to you, someone who has been a big part of bringing to life ladies rugby in Greystones, and long may it continue.
Absolutely. I think it has to keep going up. It's the only way.
Dead right. Thanks so much, Lauren. Really
Thanks
enjoyed
so much,
talking to
Jeremy.
you.
Appreciate it. Thanks for the honour of being on it as well. Bye.
See ya. Bye.